What's up, Tiger Gang? It's JT here from the Poco Moonshine family. I'm back again with another episode of Chatting with Carnivores. Today we got Courtney. How you doing?
I'm good, JT. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's Friday, TGIF. I
Thank
got a
goodness.
big ribeye waiting for me. I've got my buddy Carrie coming over, so I'm excited for the weekend. You got any plans for the weekend, Courtney?
I have a lot of dissertation writing to do this weekend, actually. So, a hot date with my computer.
And you're in school at the moment, right?
I am. I'm working on my PhD.
That's awesome. And you are doing some stuff with carnivore, right?
Yeah. So my research focus is actually on the carnivore diet and type 2 diabetes.
You guys, that is so awesome. She's doing what she can do in her part. But before we get into your research, let's just find out where you from and where you at right now, location wise, Courtney.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty nomadic person. If you know me, you know that I bounce around quite frequently. But I'm currently in Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite thing about Idaho?
Oh, I moved here for the snow in the mountains. And as a researcher, I pride myself on doing extensive research with all aspects of life. So when we decided to move to Boise, I got real excited about the mountains. And I was coming from the Woodlands, Texas. And I just really needed to be back in like a really kind of Rocky Mountain setting. And I wanted a lot of snow. And it wasn't until I got here that we realized that Boise is actually a high desert. And it's only like 200 or 2,000 feet above sea level, so it's not high. We've had maybe an inch of snowfall so far this year, so I'm pretty disappointed to say the least. But Idaho's cool. The culture is great. We got a lot of mixing cultures coming in right now between Texas, Oregon, California, Washington. So it's kind of like a melting pot, and I'm here for it. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And did you make it through the holidays with your carnivore diet?
I would say I'd like to say yes. I have 2 children who like to make me pull my hair out, so I definitely had a little bit of ice cream here and there to celebrate the holidays, but we are getting back on track, committing to full carnivore in 2024, which I haven't done yet, so pretty excited about that. What about you?
Yeah, I made it through the holiday. Just a suggestion, you can always do carnivore ice cream with the kids. That's
Mhm.
always a good one. And you can
Yeah.
either put sugar in it or no sugar, and it's good either way. But holidays
Yeah.
were good for me. I made it through. I had a little bit of more summer sausage than I would have liked because it's all the platters at the parties. So,
Mhm.
but otherwise, I did really good, and I'm glad to be past Christmas. It was fun, but as far as like all the temptation and the cookies and stuff, dear goodness, I'm glad to be past all that.
Totally. I mean, we didn't go anywhere. We don't have any family or relatives or really any friends here in Boise, so we stayed home, ribeyes every night, little bit of treat afterwards, but yeah, I need to try that Kilt's ice cream. Have you tried that one yet? His
Yes,
recipe?
yes, yes, and it is really good. It's amazing.
Cool.
It's basically
Yeah.
just it's heavy cream and eggs. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go
Simple.
wrong. It's
No,
fat and eggs.
that's perfect for us, right?
Perfect for a kid, yeah, and then you're keeping them carnivore. So,
Love it.
what's been your journey to the carnivore diet? What brought you here? How did you find it? Give us the whole story.
The whole story. Okay, so you know how a good narrative or, just piece of literature, there's always the preface, right? So when I talk about my carnivore story, I think it's really important to talk about the prologue. So my journey to carnivore actually began probably when I was 13 or 14 years old. I was bullied a lot as a kid for my size. I was not overweight. I wasn't chunky by any means, but I was a victim of some pretty intense bullying. And when I was somewhere around 13, 14, I actually decided to go vegetarian, right? And this was at a time where it's the early mid 2000s, not quite the 2010s. And so skinny culture is in, diet culture is hot. The rise of the vegetarian lifestyle is really starting to gain some traction, right? As a victim of, some really intense social pressure, I decided not only to stop eating and which ultimately led to a lot of like body dysmorphia and eating disorders and just pathological behavior around food altogether. But I became really obsessed with not wanting to gain weight, right? So I began to focus on that plant-based lifestyle because, 14-year-old me is going to hit the computers and I'm going to start to look up how to not gain weight, how to lose weight, right? I have 7% body fat, but how am I going to lose that 7%? And so I didn't become carnivore until this past year. I I'll expand more on that in a minute. So really we're starting back about 14 years ago. In 2017, a really big documentary came out on Netflix. Um, Not Forks Over Knives. What was that other one? There was another big documentary that came out during that time period that was really, really bashing the health effects, right, of animal-based foods, saying that, red meat is the worst thing that you can put into your body and chicken is, toxic and all of these things. And if you eat an egg a day, you're going to have colon cancer, right? Eating meat and animal products was the equivalent of smoking, right? And that almost put an intense fear inside of me. And when you couple that with, 10-year fear of weight gain and a fixation on what to eat, what not to eat, how to be healthy, it really instills this almost obsession, right, with your food, how to eat, what not to eat. And it kind of overcame my life. So in 2018, I actually started my master's degree. I was put on bed rest. I went into preterm labor. I was a vegan at this time, thanks to the documentary. And I had a really unhealthy pregnancy with serious pain and sciatic nerve issues and poor mobility because I just didn't have any strength, right? All of the life was literally being sucked out of me, and I wasn't fueling with anything of quality nutrition, right? So I got put on bed rest after, thank God, surviving preterm labor and my baby staying nice and safe, right? And I decided what better time than now to start getting a master's degree. So at the time, my passion was really focused on exercise physiology. And I really started to kind of fall in love with helping people to get healthy and how to begin their wellness journey. So during that time, my education and my background on nutrition really started to grow and develop. And then it was in 2021 that I started my PhD. So 3 years later, I rolled from my master's right into my doctorate. And within the first year, you have so much focus on the microbiology of food and the biochemistry of macro and micronutrients. And as a vegan, right, you have to be incredibly mindful about your nutritional intake. You got to make sure you're getting your RDAs. You got to make sure you're getting your fiber. You got to get your carbs, right? And they've got to all come from plant-based sources because those are the best thing for the body, right? Your 6 servings of vegetables and your 5 servings of fruits every single day. And you have to make sure that everything is balanced in the right way because you got to have your vitamin A, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, your vitamin K2, right? So I was pathologically obsessed with my food intake, right? I was planning out my nutrition. I was planning out my family's meals, every single meal, every single day. And then I had a friend who actually, during the time, I'm trying to convince her that, oh, vegan's the way to go. Vegan is the answer to life and health and vitality. And this is the solution to everything that you seek in life, right? Because that's what they teach you. And she's over here and texts me a picture that she's eating some butter chips. And I'm like, oh my good, like I'm gonna have a heart attack just looking at it. And I got so concerned because at this point she had been carnivore for like, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. And I'd spent those past 6 months trying to tell her that everything she was doing was wrong. And here's why, and here's the literature to back it up, right? The literature. And so when she texted me those butter chips, I went down a rabbit hole, JT, and I was convinced that saturated fat was the spawn of Satan and that I had to find the evidence to prove her wrong. I had to find a way to finally convince this girl who I've known my whole life that carnivore is not the answer. And within seconds, 13, 14 years of a plant-based lifestyle turned carnivore on its hat in the moment. Plants moved from the refrigerator to the trash. Grocery store steaks were brought. Haven't looked back. It's been about 8 months, almost a year.
That's awesome. So how did you hear about it?
I just hit the
Was
books. I
yeah,
mean, it
was
was just my friend.
interesting. And then did you when did you try looking for it on YouTube? Did you search any of the doctors or
Oh, no, I'm such a nerd. I just went straight to the scientific literature. That was my first introduction, and then maybe a couple of days later, I was like, "Maybe I'll start listening to a podcast." At the time, we were living in Texas, and I was commuting about an hour to work, and we lived 14 miles from downtown Houston, but it takes about an hour and a half most days because of traffic. So I was like, what a better time than now to like kind of start to explore this. And so the first one I came across was Dr. Anthony Chaffee's Plant Free MD podcast. And I mean, I was consuming 2 pods a day, right? Just soaking it all in. And, I'd break out my iPad at lunch and I'm still listening to a podcast and I'm just taking notes and writing down all these things because despite all of my like education and all of the things that I've learned from like the biochemistry, right? They still weren't spinning things, or they were spinning things to really look like plant-based was the way to go, right? So I was almost completely re-educating myself from the more wide-eyed perspective, right? And then after I'd really started listening to Dr. Chafee, that's when I found Dr. Baker and Dr. Kiltz and Carrie and everybody else in this community who have been advocating for years now that this is the proper human diet, as Dr. Ken Berry calls it, right? And
Yep.
so that's where I started, and like I said, in that first day, I was like, "I've been doing it wrong, like, no wonder I feel like trash. No wonder I don't have the energy," right? I used to be an athlete, right? I was running cross country, playing basketball, I did track and field, I was a pole vaulter, and I had all the strength in the world in those early days, but then as I continued through sports and through school, I would be passing out in the middle of the day. I wouldn't have the strength to compete. I was at the state competition placing first, second, third in my freshman year of high school. But then by my senior year, I could barely perform. Couldn't figure out why. I was doing all the right things, you know?
Mm,
Hey, guess what? It's the food.
absolutely. What did you read or hear or learn that it just kind of clicked for you that made you like, okay, I'm tossing this stuff out. I just want meat in the fridge. What was it that helped you? What was it? What was that piece that fit in the puzzle there?
I think, man, it's easy to say that saturated fat was that biggest piece for me. But I think it was also just putting on a different set of glasses and looking at red meat in a new light. And because all that you're taught is red meat is the villain. Don't put red meat in your body. There's no nutritional value there, right? I think Dr. Baker shared a post today that was from an article a couple of years back that was like M&Ms are healthier than a burger, right? Because of the way that we have presented it to be, right? So I had no idea about the nutritional value of red meat because all I'd been taught and all I had been reading was that it was terrible for you, right? It causes cardiovascular disease,
Mhm.
causes high cholesterol. So why would I look into the nutritional value, right? When I'm researching a plant-based diet and I'm being taught that this is the way to go. So when I really took that dive into learning about saturated fat and learning how beneficial it is for the body and how it actually helps to prevent inflammation and how it's cardioprotective, right? When you start learning those things, everything changed. I can't pinpoint it to just one thing. It was hours and hours at the computer to just change my life.
Now, I'd say about 50% of the people I've had on my podcast have been ex-vegans, as yourself. What
Mm.
to the vegans who are watching, our vegan friends, what would you say that your favorite part about the carnivore diet is that you enjoy, that they might enjoy?
I mean, the easy answer is steak, right? There's nobody there's nobody who doesn't like a steak. I don't care how much you want to convince yourself that you don't like a steak, you like a steak, okay? Learn how to cook it, learn how to not overcook it, get a good reverse sear it off in some butter. You like a steak, don't worry.
Yeah, I find myself just craving ribeye and bacon and
Yep.
eggs right now, just those 3 things over and over. What are
That's
you
it.
eating in a weekly basis on your carnivore diet, Courtney?
Yeah, so I really try to live in the salt, fat, water, kind of scheme here. I in Idaho, raw milk is legal, so I try to have a little bit of raw milk, but for the most part, it's fatty red meat. It's ribeyes, it's New York strip, a little bit of chuck, right, for a good pot roast every now and then. Bacon because it's easy for breakfast and it feeds the fam pretty quick, and eggs, all the eggs.
And what about, your kids? Are they keto, carnivore, low carb, no?
Yeah, I would say I have some carnivore kids. They eat what we eat, and I'm a mean mom. If you ask my son, I don't allow the processed food. I don't allow the sugar. I don't send him to school with all the snacks, and so he'll come home and just be so angry at me because all of his friends are eating pretzels and cookies and graham crackers and goldfish, right? All this ultra processed food, and so I look at him and I say his name. I said, "What's my job? What is my job as mama?" And he'll say, "To keep me safe." And I say, "Is keeping you healthy and helping you to live a healthy life fall under keeping you safe?" And he goes, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Okay, so am I doing my job?" And he says, "Yes." Right? So I have carnivore kids. They eat red meat. They eat eggs every morning. They eat bacon, loads of bacon, right? It's great.
He'll probably be 5 inches taller than all his friends, and just won't it won't click, and he'd be like, I don't get why you guys so short," like, because 'cause they're eating junk, they're eating Cheetos and junk, it's
Yeah. Yeah, there was gosh, it's been about 6 months now, and I can't remember who exactly was on the call, but it was an interview with Dr. Chafee and, a guy who's been on carnivore for about 40 years. I think he's Primal Bod on Instagram. But he was talking about how when he was a kid and all he would want to eat was red meat, and so he'd reach into the back of the fridge and he'd pull out a steak and he'd be home alone cooking steak and burgers and just shot up and was, well over 6 feet tall, surpassed everyone in school, and I'm like, "Yeah, I want that for my kids." Like, I want them to be healthy. I want them to be strong. I want them to be able to outperform when it comes tryouts. Like, as an athlete and a parent, like, wanting to support that journey for your kids, you want them to be as well equipped and physically capable, right? And that's what it's all about. Like, I don't want my kids to have a childhood to have to recover from. Right. I don't want
absolutely.
my kid to be 18 and off at college and learning how to go to the gym because he needs to, lose weight, needs to learn how to build muscle, and then have a chronic disease that he needs to reverse, right? That's not setting my child up for success. So I don't feed them that anything that we're not eating.
That's great, that's wonderful, and I think you were mentioning, Rick, my buddy Rick, the 40-year
Mhm.
carnivore.
Yeah,
He
that's the same.
he was actually kinda small growing up, and his parents are worried about him, but he kept eating all of the heart
Yeah,
attack food,
that's
that they
right.
say, and he was ended up being bigger than all his peers, so
Yeah,
you kinda just gotta steer them in the right direction as best you can because 'cause they're gonna, eventually be 18 and make their own decisions, but,
right.
it helps if you don't buy this stuff and have it in the house, right, Courtney?
100%. And that's what I try to teach him, and it's funny because, my son is in kindergarten now, and I'll go into the cafeteria and I'll see him eating with his buddies, and one of the teachers will come over to me and say, "Hey, Paxton was kind of hating on this other kid's food because he goes, 'Oh, that's carbohydrates. That's not healthy for you.'" And so I
Let's
have I
go!
have to have these conversations, and I kid you not, with my 5-year-old about we cannot be mean to other friends at school about what they're
'Cause they
eating.
eat carbs.
You're not their mommy, you don't get to make that decision, you don't get to tell them if they're healthy or not, like, you have to respect that boundary for their life and their family. But, he'll come over and tackle you with a hug, and I'm like, "Wow, why are you so strong?" And he'll say, "Because I eat my protein."
That's awesome,
You
and
gotta you gotta teach them, right?
good on him though that he's recognizing food that, probably isn't the greatest for you and food that he and the family enjoys. Like good on him. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you have that different perspective, a different lens of looking at things, and then you see
Mhm.
it just clear as day, and other people don't see it that way. It's normal to them, but to us, it kind of just sticks out like, oops, up.
Yeah, yeah, so and I look like, I of course, I look like the bad mom for any adults that look at my kids' lunches and be like, "Why are you feeding your kids meat and cheese every day, and why do they have so much fatty food?" Right? But the reality is quite the opposite,
Yeah, and
right?
I think, give it some time, and I think a lot of people's mindsets will start to change, especially we get
Yeah.
this healing humanity out. Now, can you talk a little bit about your research?
Yeah, so up until this year, all of my research has actually been plant-based focused, right? Because that's where my interests lie. And I was on the bandwagon of wanting to help people really optimize their health. And I feel like we live in a world where there is so much misinformation and confusing recommendations. And so growing up, I had much of my family is obese, type 2 diabetics on insulin because of just uncontrollable blood sugar. And from a really young age, it became clear to me that we need a solution, right? We need answers for this population of people. I mean, we are talking about 500 million people and rising, right? 90 degrees, the current temperature is 98 degrees and rising, right? We're at 530 and rising. And clearly, the recommendations that we have are not working. They're not working, right? You can't tell people to sit around and have 50% of their food to be from non-starchy vegetables when those non-starchy vegetables are carbohydrates, right? That's not helping your blood sugar, right? You can't tell them that they can have as much fruit as they want in their diet because that's not helping their insulin resistance, right? You can't tell them this, that, and the other and have it all mixed together, right? So when I was going down this road of trying to figure out what am I actually interested? How do I want to contribute and try to serve this population of people who need incredible amounts of help, right? They need clarity, they need an easy answer, and they need results that are going to change their life, right? When you're struggling to go up the stairs in your house, whether it's 3 or 4 steps at the front door or maybe 2 flights of stairs, right? When you can't get up and down in your own home, that's a concern,
Mm.
right? When you can't get down on the floor and play with your children anymore because you don't have the endurance to play, right? To just do the lightest bit of activity, that's a problem, right? The morbidity and the mortality of this disease is what is fueling much of the healthcare industry, right? So it became really clear to me in my research process that I really wanted to serve this population and try to get answers for type 2 diabetics. When I went carnivore in the spring, I actually had a call with my now dissertation chair who is a is a type 2 diabetes educator. She's all about the plant-based diet. She'd fully backed me from the moment that I started my doctoral journey. And I called her and I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I've had a change of research interest. I'm not going to be researching the plant-based diet. I'm going to be researching the carnivore diet. And I'm still going to be focusing on type 2 diabetics." And it was a full 360, right? So, in my thoughts, when you look at the benefits of the carnivore diet for type 2 diabetics and metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, autoimmune disorders, and the full gamut of inflammatory diseases, right? You realize that the carnivore diet is healing all of these things, right? And it's the most simple way. So, what does this population of individuals need? Well, they need simplicity, they need clarity, and they need a dietary recommendation that is straightforward that they can follow every single day, knowing exactly what the predictable outcome is going to be. Hey, guess what? When you eat fatty red meat every day with water and salt, you have predictable outcomes that are showing incredible results for healing this disorder. That's it.
That's awesome, and you guys, she is just. I mean, you're doing it. You've got kids. You're going to school. You're doing the carnivore diet. You're doing the research. You're coaching your kid on carnivore. You're doing great.
Well, I
How
appreciate
many?
that. I can't keep it together most days, but I try real hard to just keep the lid on.
That's as a parent, what you can hope for. How many meals a day are you eating, Courtney?
Yeah, so I myself am actually in I'm trying to put on some muscle here myself. So right now I'm actually eating 3 meals a day. But when you look at the typical carnivore diet, you're looking at OMAD or 2 meals a day, right? But those meals are pretty substantial in size. I'm about 5'6", a buck 25 maybe, so my ability to just eat, a pound of red meat with butter at a meal is a little bit of a challenge, right? So I'm not only trying to increase my ability to do intake, but I'm trying to increase my mass as well. So I'm lifting and I'm working out every morning and trying to just promote the hypertrophy. So I'm eating about 3 meals a day, but we're looking at about a just under 2 pounds of red meat a day and about 3 or 4 eggs every day.
How do you like your eggs?
Over medium.
Over medium?
Some
Interesting,
steak and
interesting.
I yeah, steak and eggs, you gotta have a little bit of sauce. I mean, it's either a butter sauce or an egg yolk sauce. It's perfect.
What's your favorite cut of beef?
Oh, a ribeye. Is there any
Oh,
other? Is there any other?
have you tried one of those tomahawk steaks?
Oh, no, I want to, but
I haven't tried one yet. It's on my list.
yeah, so we actually get all of our meat through, regenerative farms. So I actually order through a company called Wild Pastures, and we get about 35 pounds of beef every month, and so we're pretty limited on what we select there, but considering the reality of, like, what conventional beef is fed, right? And I know that it's one of those things where regardless of where you're coming from, eat fatty red meat significantly better than everything else you can do, right? But I really believe in what goes into the animal that I'm eating, right? Because that nutrition is then absorbed by your body. So again, this is probably stemming from that 15-year pathological obsession on nutrition and food, but I really would prefer to stay in the regenerative, grass-fed, grass-finished, antibiotic, hormone-free, and I really believe in supporting the American farmer because I think that we're living in a time where these guys are going out of business and we've got, corporate America trying to take over and ruin life as we know it. And so I really, really make it an important fact of my life to try to support those farmers. So a tomahawk usually isn't on the menu, unfortunately, but I would love to. I hear they're bomb. So
Yeah, they look good. Whenever I see them, they're on my list of things I'd like to try for carnivore. What's been like an exotic or an odd type of meat that you've maybe have tried on the carnivore diet so far?
Um, none. I don't try new things, I'm not good at it. Listen, JT, I eat plants and plants and plants and plants for 14 years to, okay, now we're just gonna eat beef and we're just gonna eat butter and we're just gonna eat eggs. So I eat beef, butter, and eggs.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I just Carrie recently just did these power balls where you take the the ground beef, mix it with eggs into
Mm,
like these little balls, then
yeah.
wrap them in bacon, and then wipe
Oh,
some butter on it. So it's got the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, but it's in a
that sounds
ball.
amazing.
You
Oh,
should try them for your family. It is
yeah,
delicious.
banging. I guess I will say now that you mentioned the beef butter bacon balls, which I will be making immediately, I am a big fan of, like, I'll take some of the fat, like, if the ribeye's got a ton of fat on it, I'll trim some of that off, cut it up into tiny pieces, and, I'll let it just sear in the cast iron, and they make these little crunchy little fat bombs that are just they melt in your mouth, and they're
Really?
just delicious. I used to really, really hate the fat, excuse me, and even when I started carnivore, I was like, "Ooh, that's a little too much for my palate right now." So that's when I started cooking them. I forget where I heard it from, but I just make it's like cowboy caviar essentially, right? It's just
Yeah,
these
no,
little
that sounds
tiny
good.
balls of fat and they just dissolve in your mouth and it's perfect.
Another one we had,
Especially on like a lean steak, right? Especially if you've
right?
got like a New York strip or a top sirloin or something where you need some more fat, instead of dousing it in butter, do some little fat bombs.
Little fat bombs. I like that.
Yeah.
The other one we liked recently as a family was this little carnivore pizza pockets, and
Oh,
you go to the store and you get the flat pieces of square, those square flat pieces, not the
yeah,
shredded stuff, and you
yeah,
lay a piece down, put your pepperoni or your sausage or your bacon or whatever in there, and then you
yeah,
lay another piece down on top of it, and then you just melt them all in the oven, and then you cut them back up into squares because it's all going to
ooh,
melt together a little bit, and then
yeah,
you just let them cool down on the parchment paper, and you got these cool little pizza pockets that's just cheese and meat.
yeah, that sounds incredible. Also sounds like something my kids will love, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a little video. I want to put together something for the carnivores with families, and
Yeah,
like the our favorite carnivore family, like fun family meals for carnivore, because I think it can still be fun, even though
totally.
it's kind of restricting. I still feel like there's still a lot to eat on the carnivore. What do you think about carnivore being kind of restricting?
Yeah, I hear that a lot, especially when I'm talking to people about like the idea of going carnivore. And it's one of the biggest obstacles is, oh, well, I couldn't just eat meat, salt, water, right? Somebody who dealt with years and years of restrictive eating, I don't feel like it's restrictive. I think when you experience carnivore, it's a whole different world, right? You can sit there and try to conceptualize what life is going to look like, what life could potentially feel like on this way of eating. But until you're actually in it, you realize that not only are the health benefits going to project you so far forward that you're not going to want to look back, but I mean, it's within days that you really start to feel it, right? And when you don't have brain fog and you don't feel bloated after every meal and you don't find yourself running to the bathroom because you just ate 45 grams of fiber, right? You you don't want to go back. It doesn't feel restrictive. It feels liberating.
What's been like one of your favorite like non-scale victories? Would you say?
Ooh, brain fog, I think.
Yeah, getting
I
rid of the brain fog.
Yeah, it's and this is a challenge because, for most people who are interested in going carnivore, it usually stems from a weight loss desire, right? And it's really hard to not see the results so much. And but when you think about how you felt before, right? And those things that I just listed are how what I experienced, right? I couldn't focus. I would get somewhere after driving for 4 or 5 hours, not remember how I got there, right? I would have to be rereading, literature
Hmm.
and wonder what I read in the first place, but I've already read it 3 times, right? Just that clarity is incredible for me, right? But also on that vegan diet, right? I was convinced I had IBS, right?
Mm.
I was never diagnosed because I'm just me and I feel like I have to look everything up and self-diagnose whatever's going on. I know nobody else ever confers to Dr. Google, but that's definitely what I do, and I was convinced I had IBS, right? I'd be in the bathroom far too many times a day. And so to be able to have like my stomach just settle is huge, right? To be
Mm.
able to go throughout the day and not have to worry about stopping if we're on a road trip all the time or being able to teach without the fear of having to run out of class and get somebody to cover, right? Those are some non-scale victories that are they're real life, right?
I had the same issue, and that's one of my favorite things that it has healed my IBS, and
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about where bathrooms are. I don't even think about it anymore. I just go on with my day, and
Yeah.
and some people, I get comments, they're like, "Oh, you've got to be clogged. You probably don't use the bathroom." I use the
Mhm.
bathroom once a day
Yeah.
consistently, and
Every day.
nothing's clogged. It's just
Yep.
everything works fine, and I don't know. That seems to be like a myth to me, like people getting constipated on the carnivore diet. You don't experience any of those issues, do you?
No, I don't. I will say though, I do read a lot. I'm part of a couple like carnivore groups on Facebook, and people are often talking about like some GI issues, whether it be constipation or diarrhea, right? And usually it comes down to first off, you got to get through that adaptation phase, right? It takes about 2 weeks as we know, right? But if you kind of also have to learn your body, right? And too much fat for one person is going to lead to some loose stool. too much protein is going to lead to the constipation, right?
Mm.
So you have to kind of play with it. You have to fine tune what carnivore looks like for you, because to say that everybody should be on a 70% fat carnivore diet might not be ideal for everybody, right? That might be too much fat, right? Maybe we need to scale back to 65, you know? So I think you have to play around with it. But I will say that I do hear it a little bit from the beginners of the community.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. Let's just get to a couple comments here quick. Is that okay, Courtney?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
All right. Don says, good evening. How you doing, Don? Terry, hi from New Hampshire. How you doing? Sandra, how you doing, Sandra? Leslie Ann, eating ice cream makes me want it every day. Yeah, yeah. You might not be a moderator then, Leslie Ann. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm
Just
with you though.
yeah. Try the let me know when you try the carnivore ice cream. It's good. Renee, hello, how you doing? Karen, oh, she's a sweetie. She's always in here with great comments. How you doing, Karen? Renee, I love your friend Courtney. Yeah, she's great, and we're just getting started, you guys. And if you guys put a Q in front of you, if you guys have a question for Courtney, she's right here. Ah, there you go, Rick. That's
Oh, awesome.
40-year carnivore. He's watching right now. Yeah, what's up, Rick? She was just
Oh
mentioning your
no, not the
story.
ducks.
He's all about the ducks, and that's when he
I
was a kid. He
remember.
threw it out the window, and
Yeah.
it was duck food. Anything that wasn't meat was duck food.
I want to say
Quack,
that
quack.
Rick's story was one of the first videos I had listened to.
Really,
So,
Rick's?
yeah, it was
That's
one of the
awesome.
first. Yeah.
Hey, here we go. Keep them coming. Question, Courtney, do you have a YouTube channel? This is a great interview.
So no, I don't have a YouTube channel yet. I have
Not
a
yet.
very
That was a
yet
key word, yet.
keyword. I have an Instagram. I'm at Holistic Carnivore PhD. And I have a very, very young podcast called The Holistic Carnivore.
And where's your how can we find your podcast? Where is it on?
It's on Apple and Google, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's not much there right now. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, and I can always send you this video too, and that could be your first upload on your
Ooh,
YouTube channel if you ever
yeah.
decide to go there.
We're
Booby
going.
Goats. Hey, how you doing, Booby? Now, we keep the questions coming, you guys. Well, we got her here live in the flesh, but I'm gonna get back to chatting here. Now, what are some goals? Do you have any carnivore goals? Like, did you start out with the carnivore goal? Like, hey, I'm gonna do this for 30 days. That's my first goal, and then I want to heal this, and now this. Like, do you do carnivore goals?
I don't I don't think so. I'm as a wellness coach, I really believe in the power of setting goals. Um, but again, coming from a smaller frame, right? It's hard for me to have those goals essentially because I don't necessarily want to lose weight. I'm trying to gain weight, but I'm trying to gain specific type of weight. I'm trying to gain lean mass. So that's my goal with carnivore. I am really focused and I'm really committed to 2024 being 100% carnivore. Like we're about 8-9 months into this process now, and I've given myself more slack than I should have, right? Especially for being a carnivore diet advocate and somebody who's over here talking to other people and trying to spread the word about this way of eating and way of living. I've given myself way too much permission, JT, for ice cream. But I will say I've been 90-95% since I started this process. And I think that that's a big achievement in and of itself. But I'm all full steam ahead on 100% for 2024.
You
So
can't
that's
let
my goal.
perfection get in the way of progress, right?
Oh, well, that's the body dysmorphia talking, so
Yeah, and
it's hard.
try that carnivore ice cream. I think you're actually gonna like it. Here we
Yeah,
go.
AirPods are
Renee, yes, Courtney, you need a YouTube channel. The demand is there.
okay. This'll be the first video then.
Travis, not a question, but I'm so proud of you, Courtney.
Well,
Travis.
that's one of my former students, and I've been a high school men's basketball varsity coach for the past few years, and he's one of my players. Thanks, Trav.
What's your team?
I'm not coaching anymore because I moved, but we were the Harmony School of Advancement Hawks.
Oh,
I got
interesting.
got some games on YouTube. I'm there. I'm on the sidelines, but
Hey,
I'm
there
there.
you go. What was your favorite position?
Well, I was a shooting guard for 10
Shooting
years,
guard.
so shooting guard, but,
Hey, we
starting
got
up
Steph
high.
Curry in here.
Yep. Oh, no, no. That vegan diet would throw off my shot real quick, so
Oh,
I
do
mean,
you?
but that's like the reality, right?
Yeah.
You start off and you're an athlete and you're succeeding at your sport for, years on end. I played for 10 years and I was a starting shooting guard every year. And then there towards the end, my performance started trickling. I couldn't get up and down the court like I used to anymore. Like, this doesn't make sense. I'm eating all the right foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just really makes you wonder.
It's tough when you think you're playing by the rules and you're still losing. You
Yeah.
know, it's frustrating, and then you find something like the carnivore diet, and you could start winning again.
Yeah,
Feels
and
good.
the fragility too. All of a sudden it's injuries, right? I'd get bumped by a girl and I don't have that core strength to have that, like,
Mm,
anti-lateral flexion, and I'm being knocked to the court and, "Hey, guess what? I just sprained my ankle." Well, that doesn't make any sense, you know? It makes you frail.
mm. Yeah, I like that angle. Didn't even think of that, but that is a good point of view there. Rick, what do
Yeah.
you got? The day you become a real carnivore, you'll no longer want duck food. There you go, buddy. Courtney, the ice cream. My video I am posting tonight talks about my ice cream vice. Yeah, ice cream and coffee seems to be tough for carnivores.
Yeah.
Did you have anything that was kind of tough for you when you started the diet? Like, oh man, this is like for me, it was ketchup. I had to have all
Mhm.
my burger meat with ketchup. I don't do it anymore, but like my first 2 weeks, there's no way I was going to eat my butter burgers without ketchup.
I was terrified of sauces, right? I had known about seed oils for a long time. I had known about the sugar in all of these sauces. So I was a plain Jane, not even putting butter on my broccoli. Like, it was plain vegetables. So for me, my vice was ice cream. Like, that's just always been my coping mechanism, which is terribly unhealthy, right? But that's how I would work through the stress. So, yeah, and it's like I didn't have a coffee addiction. I don't have a caffeine addiction. My husband's a Red Bull and a Monster every day, which we're working on. But yeah, I don't know. The food addictions just weren't really an uphill battle for me.
Yeah, and everybody's story is a little bit different.
Mhm.
Everybody's is, and that's why I wanted to hear your story. Now, the title of the video, "How to Transform Your Health in 2024." Um,
Yeah.
how would someone go about getting one-on-one coaching with you so they could transform their health and do it with your help one-on-one?
Yeah, so first off, my area of focus is really on either healing or trying to reach optimal health through carnivore. But I also work with people who aren't necessarily strict on wanting to go carnivore. I, of course, try to coach and encourage through nutritional education to move them in that direction, which is progress.
Mhm,
But it's really, for me, it's more about getting people into a state of wellness, right? No matter where you're coming from, I really believe in just getting you back to as healthy as possible for what you're willing to do. So I'm really, really focused on meeting people where they're at, if that makes sense,
mhm.
right? And working with them in whatever capacity that they need. But I try to get people on carnivore because it's truly the best for just restoring true health and reversing that chronic disease. Because that's my specialty, right? Metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, weight loss, type 2 diabetes. Right, through carnivore. That's what I love to do. That's the kind of people I love to work with. Getting connected is really easy. There's a link on my Instagram. Just click it and it takes you right to a page where you can schedule a wellness session to really see if we're a good fit to work together, right? What are you struggling with? Where are you trying to go? How are you trying to get there? Are you trying to do resistance training, or do you love to run? Are you endurance athlete? So, as an exercise physiologist, I take all of this into perspective, and with my training in functional medicine, I use that as our foundation for our nutrition, right? In healing through that functional medicine perspective, coupled with a personalized fitness program that really meets you, your schedule, your interests. And I just really put all of that together into this program that's crafted truly for you. So that's what I love to do.
That's awesome. And for those who are interested in working one on one with Courtney, I will get that link from her and I will put it in the description of this video, and you guys can go click that link and link up with Courtney.
Yeah.
That would be, I think that would be awesome. And you guys, she's got the knowledge, so, and you've got the energy, you've got the spirit for it. I'm telling you, you're doing good. Now, what are 3 simple tips that you could give to anybody right now watching to transform their health in 2024? Just 3 simple tips.
First one is you have to move. Right? If you are living a sedentary lifestyle, right? Nutrition is only going to do so much. It's about 20%, right? That old saying, 20% nutrition, 80% movement, right? So you got to start with moving, right? Regardless of whether you're eating more of a balanced diet, right? We can still get you towards your goals. We might not be able to get you all the way there, but you have to start moving. Tip number 2, cut out all the junk, right? If there are any sort of processed foods in your diet, anything that's not from the perimeter of the grocery store, that's got to go, right? It's packed with, if there's more than 5 ingredients in your food, that's not going to be health promoting, right? But my number 3, which is really the number 1 rule here, is you got to go carnivore, right? Whether you're trying to lose weight, reverse disease, build muscle, just get back to living life and going up and down the stairs, getting in and out of your house. Maybe you want to go hiking in the Rocky Mountains with me. You have to go carnivore if your goal is optimal health and vitality.
And you mentioned hiking. Where do you like to hike?
Anywhere and everywhere that there's a mountain and an alpine lake.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't peg
Yeah.
you for a hiker, but you never know.
I have Bear Lake above me, JT.
Oh, okay. See, Poco Moonshine is actually named after a little pond, a little lake. So
Oh, cool.
I'm all
Yeah.
about the ponds and the lakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Nature, I love it all.
Yeah, right now being in Boise, Stanley, Idaho is my favorite go-to. There's a lake called Redfish Lake. That's where we like to frequent. But we have another move. I told you I was nomadic, so stay tuned. We're packing up again.
Well, you make the announcement on your YouTube channel when you make
Oh,
it.
perfect. Yes, I'll have to do that.
Now we got a couple more
I'll share
questions.
about carnivore while traveling.
Right. I would watch it. Renee, question: how hard was it on your stomach going from vegan to carnivore?
It was not hard at all, right?
Hmm.
We touched on it a bit earlier with my vegan lifestyle. I can't even exaggerate. I was in the bathroom maybe 12 times a day on average. And I mean, it's once every hour I'm having to go to the bathroom. And then all of a sudden on carnivore, it's like, oh, I don't have to go to the bathroom every hour. Maybe I don't have IBS. So then we're going to go research IBS and learn all of the things, right, on how to cure it, what it's causing it. And then, oh, hey, guess what? It's all the fiber that you're pumping into your body. And it's all this inflammation of the colon that's causing you to be in the bathroom all day long. So going carnivore was the best thing for my gut. Like, I'll never look back.
Did you get the keto flu?
I don't think so. I think the worst symptom that I've had is just headaches. And again, it's tough because I was in such a bad state of health. I was convinced I was healthy as textbook, right? I had no energy. I had brain fog. I couldn't remember my first name for a while, right? I had all of these symptoms. And then all of a sudden, I'm awake. I'm alert. I have energy again. I have a little bit of a headache, but that's really about it. So
Oh,
I didn't feel like I was down and out. I felt revitalized.
it's amazing. I haven't taken any Tylenol since starting
Oh,
carnivore.
no.
It's
No.
it's amazing.
I
No,
don't
no
take any.
headaches. Yeah, no,
No.
no pains really. Like, it's amazing. I had
Yeah.
2 days where my back hurt, and I've got 3 discs in
Mhm.
my back that are out of alignment. So they
Mhm.
used to hurt every day. So to have 2 days out of 200,
Totally.
You know, that's a win in
Thank
my
you.
book. That's a win.
100%,
Right.
100%.
Mike Shaw TV says hi. Susie, hi. How you doing? Meeting Wellness, Christy, Quack. That's just for you, Rick. Rick, you know, and Christy from Meeting Wellness. You would you would do well on her channel as well. She has a lioness lifestyle where she interviews women on the carnivore diet.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, if you would ever like to go on there, let me know, and I will link you two up,
Totally. I'm here for it.
and you can. Hopefully, you'll have your channel up by then. You can stream right to it, right?
If there's a message and a key takeaway from this call, JT, it's Courtney has to have a YouTube.
Yeah, they're saying it right now. Have to start a channel. They're taking
You
the
know,
words
it's
right out of my mouth here.
I see that.
Question: what is your perspective on sprinting?
I love sprinting. I mean, it depends on what's the goal, right? Are you trying to become more explosive? Are you trying to just get cardio? Are you preparing for a sport? Are you trying to be 38 and still, beat your 18-year-old to the ground on a game on the court, right? Like, what is your goal with sprinting? I'm here for it. It's an incredible workout. It's incredible for your cardiovascular strength. I'm not big on cardio. I think we're kind of realizing that cardio is not the answer to fitness and to weight loss like we once thought it was. But as far as for somebody who doesn't want to do a lot of cardio or running, totally sprint, right? You can sprint on foot, you can sprint on the bike, you can sprint on an erg. Sprinting is fantastic. Some short term bouts of high intensity exercise are incredible for the body.
There you go. That's a great answer, Mike. I wish I knew what Courtney knows at her age. Yeah, she's
Oh,
very smart, you
thanks.
guys. Susie, eat meat, lift weights, and thrive. Exactly.
That's all there is.
Misty, I am great. Today is my 43rd birthday. Happy birthday,
Whoop, happy
Misty.
birthday.
And someone asked if I was 32. Maybe they were being nice, but I was flattered nonetheless. Get it, girl.
That's incredible. But with carnivore, you age backwards. So we all know Rancher Maggie looks like she is 45. Come on. I know.
At
That's
best. Yeah,
that's
it's
that's the
wild.
goal.
It's
Mhm.
wild. Yeah, exactly. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. There you go. We got some birthday wishes going. Let's see here. I'm looking for cues, you guys. It's definitely a lot of comments in here. There you go. Yep, give me her email and I will look her up for Lioness Lifestyle. Okay, we'll exchange that after we're all done with this call here, okay? Courtney?
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see you on there. My coach told people no matter how many times you think you've shared your story, share it another 100,000 times because it's just so important. It's only your story. So like just please don't ever feel like, you've shared it enough. Keep on sharing it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Looking for cues, you guys.
56 going on 22. Amazing.
That's amazing.
How's my
Rick,
sleep doing?
oh, what time is that one? I'll put that one.
Oh, 5:52. Cat lady.
Okay, let me
How's your
go.
she says, "How's your sleep doing?" It's never been better. I have been sleeping so deeply these past few months that it's almost, like, concerning to my husband because he'll get up, he'll get ready for work, the kids will be crying throughout the night, and I'm passed out, and I wake up and the energy's there, I don't drink caffeine, I'm ready to go, and I'm training at 4 AM on an empty stomach, training fasted because I have the energy and I'm not cooking at 4 in the morning. The sleep's incredible. The sleep's incredible. Yeah.
So, do you suggest people work out and exercise on an empty stomach?
I will say that that is a personal decision, and I think that there are pros and cons, right, metabolically to training fasted. But it comes down, in my opinion, to what are your goals? Where are you at? How are you training? There's a whole picture that we have to look at before I can make that recommendation. But for me, I haven't noticed any negative effects. I haven't noticed any like muscle wasting or atrophy. I've seen benefits for myself. So I like it. I don't like lifting on a full stomach and feeling kind of sluggish trying to get up and down. So it works for me. And I think that that's one of the most important things. You got to do what works for you.
Absolutely. Hello, guys. I'm really aging backwards. 56 going on 22. Let's go. I love it. Mike Shaw, TV question. Any challenges with family and friends who don't understand carnivore?
I always hit people with the literature, right? So when I have somebody come at me, it's just like, bam, here's an article, right? Bam, here's this. And just kind of cutting through every argument because at the end of the day, I was the person on vegan who was hitting everybody with the literature and trying to back my claim and try to really convince people that this is the way to go, right? So I really, that's just who I am. It's who I'm always going to be. And I really love having those kind of deep academic conversations about like the biochemistry of why carnivore is incredible. And I'm the person that you don't want to really get into like a back and forth like argument on no, you're wrong, because I will continue to up you and back it with the evidence. So that's just really how I go about it. I'm passionate and people have learned to back down.
Back down. If you know what's good for you guys, don't even try it.
But I'm far from
LOL. I love
intimidating,
her
right?
bam. Hit him with another bam, Courtney.
Like the literature just right there.
Bam. Great energy. Yep. He says her channel's gonna be lit.
I
um.
hope so. I hope so.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Question: do you think that more people should get their kids on the carnivore diet if they're not on the carnivore?
Yes. One word answer. Yes. I mean, look at the reality, right? Childhood obesity, especially in westernized countries, is off the charts. And I mentioned it earlier and I'll say it again because I truly believe it. Giving your kids the standard American diet and the processed junk snack diet is arguably the worst thing that you can do for your child's future and for their health, right? Don't give your child a health that they have to recover from when they're 18 years old. Get them eating right now. Teach them about nutrition. Again, I've got my little guy who's like, Mom, I need more lipids on my plate. And I'm like, yeah, here we go, right? I'm strong because I eat my protein. And now the 3-year-old's like, oh, check my muscles. It's because of my protein, right? So I think that instilling these values and instilling them with the knowledge will empower them for the future. They're going to make their own decisions one day. Be prepared for that. Don't let them feel so restricted in their life now. Allow a couple treats here and there, right?
Mhm.
Allow them to understand how it feels to have sugar. My 3-year-old came to me and said the other day, I had too much sugar. I don't feel good. I said, that's what happens when we eat too much sugar, right?
Wow.
So build them to be healthy. They are not duckling.
Yes, they're children, not
Yeah.
ducklings.
Yeah.
Renee, question: Courtney, will you spend this evening setting up your YouTube channel?
Yes.
And if you do, send it to me, and I will share it on my community tab, and then I
I
will tell
won't get
people
up
like,
from the
"Hey, here,
chair without setting up my YouTube channel.
you guys, you are they're persistent, aren't they?"
No rush or anything, but yeah.
Now, we're approaching the end of an
Are you all
hour.
gonna subscribe to the channel immediately is the question.
Yeah, if she makes her channel tonight, will you guys subscribe tonight? That is the question. Hey, what a great way to start out the weekend though, with new beginnings, and you just never know when you start making new decisions. It literally rips the timeline and it puts you in a whole new timeline that you. So that's up
I
to
mean,
you though. That's up to you.
a 14-year vegan turned carnivore in 5 hours, right? I change is something I seek in life. Change is good. Yeah.
That was a good 5 hours. I'm telling you.
It
Yay,
was
Courtney! I will sub immediately. She will be monetized in a week. Oh, you guys are funny. Now,
hilarious.
okay, so they're gonna sub. Yes, Miss Bam Bam. They're gonna sub to Miss Bam Bam's channel. Now,
It will not be called that.
yeah, that's okay. But we're approaching the top of the hour. It's quick. Didn't that go quick already?
It does, it does. I mean, pleasant conversation always makes time fly, and like I told a friend the other day, I can talk about this stuff all day. We can talk carnivore all day long. I'm here for it.
Now, I have one last question, and is it okay if they have any last questions to get them in, or do you have to take off
No,
right
I'm
away?
good. I'm good. This was my plan for the evening, so
Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
ask
here
the
until you
question.
kick me off.
Okay, and you guys, if you guys got any questions, don't sleep on it. Speak now or forever hold your peace. You know how the saying goes. So, um, before we wrap up, if that is the last question, what's on your heart? What would you like to speak to everybody about while you got them sitting here?
Whew, I mean, loaded question, JT. I I think at the end of the day, my message and the biggest thing on my heart is I want to help people, right? It doesn't matter where you're at, it doesn't matter where you wanna go. Life is hard, right? We live in this world, and you and I touched on this earlier. We're surrounded by all of these things that are pulling life out of us, these things that are toxicating our bodies, right? Whether it's EMF or the food system or not enough UV light, right? There are so many things that impact our health and our ability to thrive. And when you have a goal, there's no wonder why people struggle and why people are confused. And so, my biggest mission is to help people understand how to really harness wellness in all of its facets, right? That's nutrition, that's lifestyle, that's movement, that's stress, that's mind body therapies. There are so many things that go into this. And there's so much noise around us saying, "Oh, do this. Oh, do that. Oh, try this. Don't forget that." And then follow it up with a juice cleanse, right? You don't need to overcomplicate things when you really peel back the layers and look at how do we go from point A to point B? The answer is usually a straight line,
Hmm.
right? You don't have to take 1,700 detours to get there, but it does take having somebody who understands where you're at, where you want to going, where you want to go, and how to get there, right? So what I like to do is really help people to get back to those roots, to get back to enjoying life and being able to live it in whatever way that looks like for you, whether that's getting in and out of the house, whether that's hiking in the Rocky Mountains. Do what makes you happy and live in a way that will fulfill you to do so.
Hmm. My coach would just to echo what you're saying. My coach would say that that's what success is: knowing where you want to go and being headed in that direction. It's not exactly being there at the destination, but as long as you know where you want to go and you're headed that direction, you're a success. And I totally agree with you. That's awesome. We do have a
Yeah,
question here.
yeah.
Renee, question: did you convert your family to vegan, and are they now doing carnivore?
Yeah, so when, I was vegan long before I met my husband, and then very soon before we were married, I put him on a vegan diet, and so he experienced much of the same symptoms, and then throughout both of my pregnancies, I was vegan, my kids were vegan, which then led to me having to do more work on meal planning and nutrient calculations and trying to make sure that everybody at all their different developmental stages was getting every bit of nutrition that they need to be optimally healthy. Um, but then on that same day, we cleared out the fridge, everything went in the trash, and steaks went on the table. Yeah, they love carnivore. My kids are loving it. They want steak every night for dinner, and I'm happy to provide.
My son, if you've got ribeye and anything else, he'll just go right towards the ribeye. There's just no competition anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
Got it. Amen, Courtney, Coach Courtney. Meaning Wellness, Christy. Question: do people who know you, knew you before and see you now, notice difference in you from vegan to carnivore? It's a great question.
Oh, difference how though? Because when I was vegan, I was equally passionate about it because I truly felt that this was the path to health and wellness and vitality. And everything, like I said earlier, everything that I was taught was that this was the way, and the science made sense at the time. But then you realize that, oh, hey, guess what? This science isn't true science. Hey, guess what? This data has been tampered with. And then when you have to take that next step to really dive into kind of this realm where you're being told, don't go there. You don't need red meat. Don't worry about it. You don't need fat. Don't worry about it. when you take that step and kind of go, okay, what's behind the curtain that you're trying to hide? That's when you kind of have that mental transformation, or at least that's where it was for me. And the difference that people would see is just in my energy, in my strength, in my ability to live life and to be passionate. And if you know me, you know that I'm talking about carnivore all the time. This is what I love. And but to say, are there physiological differences in me? Not really. Everything is kind of metabolic, behind the scenes, internal health, which is, those non-scale realities that you can't necessarily see with the eye or see from a different perspective, but you feel it, right? You feel better, you feel energized, you feel healthy, you know that you are on the right path.
Absolutely. Love that. Another question here. What about your extended family?
I mentioned it earlier. My husband and I are actually really, really nomadic. We don't really ever see family, maybe once every couple of years. We don't have much connection with our family, and that's okay. But when the questions come up, we answer them, and I try to explain what we do and why we do it, and what kind of mission we're on here in life.
Absolutely. Non-scale realities, or just coined a new phrase. Nice. Let's go.
I mean,
Now,
it's true, right?
exactly, it is. And I'm telling you, I have to say thank you to Misty, the Ketoing Viking, for linking me and Courtney up.
My
Otherwise,
pleasure.
this interview wouldn't have even happened. So thank you, Misty, and happy
And
43rd
happy
birthday.
birthday.
It's so awesome. Well, like how did we know? Like picking this date, and then that's her birthday. It's so cool how that worked out.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
love it.
love it how this works out. But as my coach says, you guys, there's value in Courtney. There's value in her story. So please replay this. Uh, there's value in repetition. That's how we learn. Repetition is the first law of learning. So replay this. We had some laughs. We learned a lot of stuff. I think she's going to be starting a YouTube channel. We'll see if she does. I'll post. Yeah, she has homework. Um,
I love homework. Thank you very much.
she's doing it all the time there. So if she does, I will post the link in whatever, whenever, if that goes through, that's just fine. But otherwise, thank you guys. Yeah, it was a great interview. Courtney did great. I don't even know why she was nervous. She did great. So
I
would you
think
come back
it's a
sometime for an update?
totally. Like, I can talk carnivore all day, so I'm here for
Cool.
it. I'm
Cool.
excited to
Okay.
stay tuned and keep up with you over the next, however long this is, and I know you've got some great work that you're doing, and so I support you and I support your mission, so just let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Well, thank you. And thank you for
Yeah,
coming on my channel and sharing your story on my channel. It really means a lot because this podcast would be nothing without people like you who are brave enough to come on here and share your story. So it means the world to me, Courtney. I appreciate it.
thank you for having me, JT. I appreciate your time
Absolutely. Well,
and
you
your
guys, that's
followers.
it. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you, Tiger Gang. Yep, keep on quacking, Rick. Thank you and goodbye, guys. Rick, I'll do